Hello everybody. In this video we will try to understand Bharani Nakshatra. So Bharani Nakshatra is a Venus Nakshatra, means its planetary ruler is Venus basically. And it ranges from 13 degree 20 minutes of Aries to 26 degree 40 minutes of Aries. So Bharani Nakshatra completely lies in the sign of Aries. Aries is a fiery sign. The sign is fiery in nature, and its lord, the planetary ruler, is basically Mars. So Bharani has the seed of Venusian energy, and in the celestial firmament in the sky, it's actually represented by three stars. Every nakshatra is basically represented by some number of stars. Here Bharani Nakshatra is represented by three faint stars as forming a triangle. So basically, if you see Bharani Nakshatra in the sky, it appears like a triangle. We will talk about this triangle structure more. Basically, it is not a pure triangle. We'll see that. So Bharani can be translated into two meanings basically from the Sanskrit literature. One is a bearing, or she who bears. Of course, both are similar, the two meanings. Basically, bearing is the main theme of Bharani Nakshatra. So it doesn't necessarily mean bearing a child as in the case of pregnancy, because when you talk about Bharani, we talk about the female organ, the female organ that actually gives birth to the child. We talk more about that. So this bearing is not necessarily mean bearing a child in the case of pregnancy, even though we try to talk about mother's womb or the female generative organ more when you talk about Bharani Nakshatra. So the name is actually conveys a major part of this particular nakshatra's energy. Relates primarily to the feminine side of nature and its capacity to receive, hold, nurture, and destroy. So basically, the theme of Bharani Nakshatra is receiving, holding, nurturing, and destroying. It's a kind of, if you see the mother's womb, it tries to receive, the child from some of the transcendental world, you can say, and it holds it for 9 months and then nurture it for all the 9 months, and then finally it releases the child. So it's something like, so there is a lot of spiritual connection associated with Bharani Nakshatra. We talk about that, and the main symbol of Bharani Nakshatra is female sexual organ. See, all the female reproductive organs can be seen as symbolism of this nakshatra. Any kind of female, reproductive organ. So in all ancient cultures, these organs as symbols were seen to represent the fertility aspect of nature. So nature has different types of energies. One particular energy is fertility, fertile, the energy of fertility, you can say, right? Even in the Egyptian civilization, if you observe, the female organ is symbolically represented as in Egyptian world, you can see it's a buckle of Isis, right? So it's something like it's doorway between two different worlds, right? Even the female organ, right? The female sexual organ we generally call as vagina or yoni. You say that is actually it. Actually, it is also a doorway between two different worlds. How? A soul enters, right, from a different world to the mother's into the mother's womb. Then just imagine the transfer of energy happening from one world to another world. And once a soul enters into mother's womb, the mother's womb nurtures it and finally releases it in the form of a physical body. So that's where the connection between two different worlds is always talked when you discuss Bharani Nakshatra. The female sexual organ, transfer of energy from one world to another world, connecting two different worlds. So this kind of behavior, this kind of energy, this kind of discussion we do when you talk about Bharani Nakshatra. So the Vedic point of view also is similar to that. That is, it is related to birth, death, transformation, and regeneration to the feminine reproductive symbols. So female sexual organ is mainly the symbol of fertility, the symbol of transformation, because soul enters from one world and comes to the earth and enters into mother's womb, and it takes another it lies in a physical body. Just imagine the transformation and also the regeneration capacity, right? So this is all associated with Bharani Nakshatra. And birth and death, of course, birth, this female sexual organ is mainly responsible for that. And then death, why we talk about death when you talk about Bharani Nakshatra, we'll see that. See, they're also seen to represent, a kind of caution, a jealousy, secrecy, right? Struggle, sacrifice, sexuality, nurturing, and maternal love, right? See, it's all related to, the female sexual organ, the Bharani Nakshatra here, right? So Bharani basically carries all these attributes. So if you observe, if a soul finds its entry from the astral plane to the physical world of the living through the female sexual organ, and it is not very hard to see the doorway symbolism here, right? Basically, the yoni or the female sexual organ is actually acting as a doorway here. So Yama, the lord of death and one of the 8 doorkeepers between the physical and other worlds, is the ruling deity of this particular nakshatra. So Yama is the lord of death and one of the 8 doorkeepers, right? So what is this 8 doors? So between the physical world and other world, right? So soul generally lives on earth in the form of a physical body, and it enters into another world. It goes to another world after death, and it has to cross those 8 doors. So one of the 8 doorkeepers is Yama. He's very intelligent. He knows how to direct the soul after death, right? So that is a very very great knowledge, a very secretive knowledge, because no one knows how to direct a soul after death. Only Yama knows, right? So that knowledge is very very mysterious knowledge, right? So Bharani is actually associated with as mysterious knowledge as well. right? Because Yama, the Lord of Death, and one of the eight doorkeepers between the earth and the other worlds, is actually the ruling deity of this particular nakshatra. And the Om, as it carries the new life in the form of fetus for several months, of course, for 9 months generally. So, before it finally finds itself manifested in the world. And in the same way, Bharani allows things to brew on different planes before they suddenly take out material forms. So, if you observe the behavior of mother's womb, it nurtures, right, and then finally it releases, the physical form, right. So before the things actually take their forms, actual forms, they have to be nurtured, they have to be nourished, right? So this kind of behavior is also seen in the Bharani energy. So the Bharani energy is something like it doesn't allow the things to take the form suddenly, right? Uh, it allows the things to brew up and uh, finally it takes the form. So generally, Bharani energy is associated with analyzing. Let us say buying something, right? So it doesn't happen very quickly with more Bharani energy people. They try to analyze. They try to know if it is a very good thing or not, if it is very useful or not. Some kind of, or if they buy anything, they try to see. They let the things brew up, and finally, they try to uh, buy the thing. It's something like, I'm just giving an example. If you have more Bharani energy, this is what you do generally, and that is the fundamental nature of Bharani basically, because Bharani, if you observe, the energy is related to mother's womb, and it doesn't allow the kid to take the form on the first date. It waits for 9 months. So just imagine, uh, you know giving the time for the things to grow up, and then finally taking the form is always present with Bharani energy. So, in the case of childbirths, it is usually very hard to predict which day the water is going to break. Uh, you know, which they generally the gynecologists, they generally check mother's womb, and they, based on the water in the mother's womb, they try to decide the delivery date. And it's very hard to predict which day. They give multiple dates generally, right? This can be most probably that day, or they just go 3 days away and then they may give that date. uh, so it's generally hard to predict which day the water is going to break. So the same is the case with revolutions also, right? It's something like, uh, revolutions, they do not come on a single day. They don't, it's any revolution, if you observe, uh, it's not like they discussed at night and then finally in the morning they have a very big revolution. It doesn't happen that way. Generally, revolutions, they brew within the hearts and minds of people. you know they generally take a form of seed, and then a seed grows up in the minds and hearts of the people, and they try to, there's a kind of discussion on those thoughts, the revolution, the any kind of revolution, if you observe, right? So that doesn't start in just like that. It's something like the seed of revolution goes into minds and hearts of the people one day, and they generally grew up. The thoughts grew up, and then finally, after some months and after some years, generally all the people uh, get the idea of revolution, because they are trying to, they are thinking about this particular thing for a long time, and finally they decide this is the correct time, to tell or to protest or to show this particular injustice to everybody, right? So such kind of revolutions, right? Generally, any revolution is like that only. It doesn't happen in a single day. So they brew within the hearts and minds of people for a while before they erupt. And the same is applicable to death as well. So, right? And this breaking the water in the mother's womb, even the most, experienced gynecologists may not know the exact date. Some people say, let us say, if a girl with, if a woman with pregnancy went to the doctor may give delivery date as can be some 15th February or something like 25th February, and then finally the doctor may say on 12th February itself your delivery date, because if you go on 10th February to the doctor may say you have to do it immediately or tomorrow. It's something like, it's a kind of unpredictable. That's what I'm telling you. Not only the things brewing up and one day finally taking the farm, it is also having the nature of unpredictability. So revolutions also generally, the thoughts grew up in the minds, and then finally one unpredictable day, they take the form. Right? Unpredictability is associated with this nakshatra. So Bharani is unpredictable nakshatra. It operates in hidden ways, right? And it's it grows up. Secretly it grows up. That's the way. That's the way of Bharani. So Bharani is unpredictable. It can operate in hidden ways. And then finally it erupts one day. So that behavior is actually associated with nakshatra. And another symbolism is a boat. Of course, it's an alternative symbolism, but the general symbolism of Bharani is a female sexual organ. So boat is just, it also symbolizes the transportation between two different planes to different places. So the transportation we talk we talk with respect to Bharani nakshatras. The nakshatra is a kind of special transportation. It's not a regular transportation, because you can see the soul coming from some other world and entering into mother's womb on the earth. The transportation is a kind of mysterious one as well, right? Very a few people may know or may have the knowledge of this particular transportation. So Bharani is as nakshatra that's directly related to the process of birth, death, and regeneration, at least on the earthly plane of existence. You can see this. And if you talk about the deity of this particular nakshatra, Yama, the lord of death, is considered as the main deity of this particular nakshatra. He is supposed to be one of the 8 celestial gatekeepers who guard the 8 directional doorways or exits through which the soul travels from the earthly plane to other worlds or other planes of existence. So even in the Vedic literature, you can see he is mostly seen as the Lord of Dharma, right? So whatever comes or whatever goes, he doesn't care. He only follows his dharma. So that kind of characteristics Lord Yama has. So the mixing of the deities of death and dharma, uh, it may seem very, very, different. It may seem very, very surprising. Death and dharma. See, in the light of the fact that it is Yama's duty to assign the life paths for the souls who have left their earthly bodies, right? He has to direct the soul once the soul leaves the body. So it becomes very clear that he has to be a very well versed, and he is a very, very, uh, he knows laws of karma and dharma, right? Lord Yama knows the laws of karma and dharma because he knows how to direct soul. He knows how to direct soul after death. So dharma is very much related to, you know, death as well, because when to give death, right? Only the person knowing the dharma very well knows it. So Yama, of course, he is the Lord of Death, is a very jovial deity. You know, his lightheartedness um, is very beautiful. He's very playful. His joys, his joyful, right? So it is up to Yama to weigh our actions in the present life so that we can be assigned an appropriate new life. So he is actually treated as a benevolent deity and should not be feared of because he's very jovial, he's light-hearted, he is playful. So Emma is only feared by those who fear death, of course, and those uh, karmas are not good. If somebody's karmas are not good, then of course he those persons definitely afraid of Yama because he's lord of the death. And Yama is uh, he knows the secret functionings of Maya, right? Something related to, some, this Bharani is related to the knowledge which is not present on the earth, that is also there, right? Because its deity is Lord Yama, and it always talks about the transportation of a soul from a mysterious world to earth. So that kind of knowledge, right? We don't know what is that knowledge, but still we know Bharani is associated with that knowledge. Basically, it is mysterious also. It knows some mysterious knowledge. It has the capacity to know some mysterious knowledge. So, Bharani also holds within itself the complete understanding of the process of life, birth, and death. So, and if you see the Kali, another deity, the dark and destructive form of Ma Parvati, is one of the three main feminine deities upholding our universe. So, just like Yama, Kali is also considered a deity to be feared. Generally, people fear of Kali also. Kali's function, however, is just to kill the demons within and without. Right? So her form has to be terrifying because the entities she deals with are basically cruel and fierce. Her involvement with this particular nakshatra implies Bharani is a sort of battlefield between the opposing qualities of nature. So, killing in the sense there would be some things that are to be killed. They are within you. When you kill those kind of qualities, then only you will become a better person. And for the society to become better, some people outside of you, means some people have to be, have to be destroyed to some extent. Then only the society can become better. So, the distinction between right and wrong, good and bad, godly and demonic is to be understood here, because what to kill here, killing, we're talking about killing, because Kali is another deity associated with this nakshatra. The dark deity always it is famous for killing. So the process of uprooting the negative, uh, side, right? It's always a bad thing. So Bharani basically deals with extremes, and in the process becomes the most extreme amongst the nakshatras. So the energy associated with Bharani is extreme. This particular, because we're talking about death, right? We're talking about killing. It's extreme. This is an extreme uh, behavior only. This is an extreme word, because it's not a simple word. It is treated as a very very fearful, and it's an extreme word. And Bharani is extreme amongst the nakshatras. Bharani is not treated as a very simple nakshatra, right? So extreme. This is the word that we use when we try to discuss Bharani nakshatra. So thanks for watching this video. We will try to talk more about Bharani nakshatra in our next video. Thank you.